That one's a keeper, Audrey Pitchford.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, fellow daters. Has anyone else ever gone on a romantic date that just went bad? Me too, me too. And if you're anything like me, you might have that little inner voice that talks to you at the moment that date starts going south. And my inner voice, she's a little snarky, and she says, oh, that one's a keeper. For example, the date that I was on when I had to swim away. There I was, picture a beautiful spring day, sunshine, a breeze, Lake Sammamish up in Whatcom County. I'm wearing my fabulous new bathing suit, and I'm in a yellow inflatable raft with a young man who has a bumper sticker on his truck that says, I'm rich, are you single? Ooh. No shirt, no shoes, no service. This is in the days before cell phones. And we're having a lovely time. There we are out in the raft, and all of a sudden, Rich says those immortal words that make every girl's heart beat a little faster. I can't row the boat into shore, there's too much weight in it. I'm sure I rolled my eyes and made the cat hairball sound. And my brain was saying, that one's a keeper. As I flopped into the water and swam back to shore, thinking, who knew that swimming is a dating skill? Or the next date that I went on involving water in unexpected places, I was in a taxi in a rainy Mexican town. It was a 1977 orange and white Datsun 160J, and I was trying to look around the driver's head from the back seat because up ahead it looked to me like the intersection was maybe flooded with water. And before I knew what happened, the driver plunged into the middle of the intersection into 2 feet of standing water, and our taxi sputtered, coughed, and died. I sat there wondering, now what happens? Woo! Cold water seeped up through the floorboards, in through the gaps of my Huarache sandals. My date and the taxi driver pushed the car out of the puddle. And my date was very angry about ruining his shoes and socks. And I felt a little afraid of how angry he was becoming. And so I was thinking, oh, that one's a keeper. But I made a joke about how he paid for the taxi ride with his socks. And he laughed. And we moved on. Or take the other date that I was on at that same memorable year. I had gone somewhere, who knows where, and I was returning home escorted by my date. And as we walked back to my house, suddenly a dog emerged up ahead of us between 2 of the neighborhood houses and started weaving our direction. Now, something that I had learned about dogs in Mexico was that many times they were not pets in the same way that I had always experienced having a pet here. Often a dog was another mouth to feed, or a beast of burden, or some ownerless animal that wandered the street like a giant rat scavenging through piles of garbage. This dog, it had fangs bared, yellow teeth snarling at us. The hair on the back of its neck was standing up, and it was walking on stiff legs towards us. I immediately thought, oh, well, Pedro will protect me. And then the 6-foot-tall man I was on the date with stepped behind me and said, I'm afraid of dogs. I grew so angry that I turned to that dog and I started yelling, clapping, screaming at it, bad dog! Only I used more colorful language. In English, in Spanish, in case I didn't understand English. And miraculously, the dog backed down and slunk away. I walked the rest of the way home with my arms and legs trembling. And it wasn't the breeze of the evening, it was because I was wearing a tank top and shorts and I was thinking about the damage the dog would have done if it hadn't backed down. Now, all of these dates that went south were 30 years ago. And 26 years ago, I met the man who was the keeper. And he's my husband that I'm married to now. And when I reflect on these experiences from over 30 years ago, I see new insights that I didn't see at the time. The date I swam away from, I always assumed that swimming was an awesome dating skill to have. But now I recognize another lesson I learned was I can choose my own adventure. I don't have to wait for Rich to figure out how to get me to shore. I can rely on my own skills and make it happen. And that idea is a keeper. With the taxi, I saw that I can shift the energy of the experience. I can make myself laugh. I can help someone who's angry and help them see the humor in the situation. I can adjust. Wow, that idea is a keeper. And with the dog, I always assumed that I bluffed my way out of that experience. And I see now that I can commit. I can put 110% into something. When I see something that's mine to do, I can go all the way. Wow, that idea is a keeper. And so these 3 dates that I've often described as 3 of my worst days ever, I see are really 3 of my best days ever because of the value they provided to me, because of the things I learned. And that, my friends, that idea is a keeper. Fellow Toastmasters, Mr. Toastmaster,